Okay, I'm going to cover a few tutorials here that are going to help you get animation and characters into your Unreal project. But to start with, let's make an Unreal project together. So here is the Epic Games launcher. And if I go over here to the library tab, I've got 5.5.4, and I'm going to hit this launch button. Now what this is going to do is it's going to allow me to create a new project, and I thought we could do this together so that you can see the kinds of settings that I choose when I make a new project. So these are my recent projects under this tab. These are all different kinds of templates that you could use. The template that I usually go to is the blank game template, this one here. Very often this third person could be also useful and might be the best choice for this project, because this will bring in a character that is immediately running around, a character with some animations. It's this silver mannequin character that Unreal Engine has. But I won't choose that one. I'll leave that for you to decide to do. Instead, I'll choose this blank one, and I'll give it a name, and we'll call this Demo 1, and I'm going to put this in my projects area. Now it takes a moment for this to open up. Once it opens up, the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to create a basic map. Now a map is the same thing as a level, and a level is where you will assemble all of your digital assets and create yourself a kind of a scene or a world. And what I want is a scene or a world that I can use just to test out my assets first. Now, you'll see that it opens up to what you might call a scene or a world, and I can tumble around and see it's a really big scene or world. But I don't actually want to use this one because it's showing a feature that I'm not going to use. It's this world partition feature. Instead, I'm going to first come over to my content browser tab here, and I'm going to turn off some of these settings. So mine should look like yours. So I'm going to turn off show engine content. So yours should look like this, I would think. And I'm going to make a new folder by right-clicking new folder and call this maps. And then I'm going to go right up here under file, and I'm going to make a new level. Level is the same as a map. And then it gives me these choices: open world, which is what this is, open world empty, basic, and empty. And I'm going to choose basic. And so this looks kind of simpler. It looks similar, but it's simpler. That's what I wanted to say. Now that I've created it, I need to save it immediately because this is not saved. Neither was the one we were just looking at. You can save it by going under File, Save Current Level As, and this will let us pick a name for it. And I'm going to call this Basic Map. And that's really the first thing I want to do to set up my Unreal Engine scene. For the next part of this, we're going to go and get some characters and animation from Mixamo. You need to log into Mixamo. It's owned by Adobe, so you need to use your Adobe information here to log in your Adobe account. Once you're in here, you'll see it's a portal for getting characters and animation. And you can get characters and animation in one go, but I'm going to show you how to do it in two separate steps. There's a tab here for characters, and you can scroll around here and you can see they've got all kind of characters, including lots of zombies, 3 pages of characters. And I'm going to pick one that I know to have transparent hair so I can demonstrate how you could fix transparent hair. I'm going to pick this one here called Pete. So Pete here has transparency on the hair. Other characters have transparency, and that's why I thought it would be important to show you how to fix that, because it doesn't quite come in right. So once you have a character loaded over here, you can tumble around, you can load motion on it. But before I load motion, I'm going to just download this character as a T-pose basic character, like this. I hit download, it zips it up, and gives me an option where to save it. I'll just keep it. I'm going to rename it here and call it Pete. And then that downloads. Over here we can switch to the animation tabs. And you can see that there's all kinds of different animations. And as soon as you click on it, it loads onto the character that you have picked. And you can also see that some of these, like here, is in a pack. There are 12 animations in this pack. And if you search over here, you should see all the ones with pack in the name. There's a creature pack, longbow, shooter, farming, etc. So we'll pick farming. And what it's doing now is it's loading into this viewer all the animations end on end. So you can't really tell where one starts and one finishes because they're stitched together. I think in some cases they are. I don't know if that's all the cases. But yeah, this is like a preview. Lets you see how the animations look. You can also upload your own character into here, and it will put the motions onto your character, I believe, after some steps. But that's not what this video is about. I'm going to download this now, and when I click the download button, you get some choices. We're going to keep it on FBX. We are going to change T-pose to no character because we already have our character in another step. So we don't need the character again. We're just going to get the motions, and I'm going to set the motions to 24 frames per second, and that's all I'm going to do. Now it's going to zip them up and download them to my computer. I'll let that zip. It'll just take a moment, and then it'll give me this save dialog, and I'll save it to the same place. So now back over here in my Unreal Engine, I'm going to make a new folder called Pete. And this is where I'm going to put all my Pete stuff. So the very first thing I'm going to do is bring up my browser and find my Pete FBX and drag and drop that right into here. What that does is it pops up this window with all of the different kinds of attributes that you can, settings that you can change. The one that's quite important for this one is we're going to change skeleton. We're going to make sure skeleton says none. And this means it's going to build a skeleton for this skeletal mesh that we're importing. I believe we don't need to change any other assets here. So we're just going to hit import. And we got a whole bunch of stuff. There's quite a few different things here, so I'm going to just talk through what those things are. These things that have a red line along here, these are all textures. So textures work with materials, and I'm going to put textures and materials in one new folder, and I'll call it materials. Even though it's materials and textures, that's just too long. So I'm going to move all those into that folder. Now I'm left with Pete, which is a skeletal mesh asset, Pete anim, which is an animation sequence, a physics asset, and a skeleton. A skeletal mesh is a special kind of a mesh. It always has a skeleton associated with it, which is another type of asset. This is a skeleton. These things work together. Animations can go on to these skeletal meshes, and they need to have a compatible skeleton. Now this is not really an animation because there's only one frame. See how it's blinking by really fast? It's only one frame and it's just a T-pose. So that's not particularly useful at the moment, but we'll leave it for a minute. And a physics asset is something that's useful for doing physics related stuff, which we're not going to talk about. Sorry, I'll leave it up here. Other than it creates these capsules, and you can use these capsules to collide with things when you're using the physics engine. We're not really concerned with that, but we'll leave it around. So next I want to bring in all those animations. So I'm going to make a folder for that. Maybe I'll even call it, I'll change the name here to hit F2, and then I can change the name, and I'll change this to Mixamo Motions. And that's where I'm going to import these other items. So go back to my download folder. I'm going to unzip this. And inside here, you'll see all these different files. I'm going to import all of them at once, like this. I get this pop-up window again. And this time, under animations, or all, because this is like filtering out some of those other things. Under here, I want to make sure I check off import only animations, and then I change this none to be the skeleton that these animations will fit onto, and it's this Pete skeleton. After that, you hit import. That's it. It starts bringing in each of those animations one by one. Now to see these, you can double click on one of them, and it brings up this interface, which I clicked on before, and you could see briefly, and you can preview the animation here. And this animation tab will let you preview all of the animations by double-clicking, and it loads. Double-click and it loads. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to import a different kind of character, a Paragon character. To import a Paragon character, you can use or any other character from the asset store. You can use this open marketplace toggle, which brings up this interface. This is the Epic Games launcher again, and the marketplace used to be on this tab, but now it's called Fab, and it's changed a little bit. This used to be kind of like a web browser, but now you have to click this button and it takes you to a web page. You can sign in if you're not signed in. I'm already signed in here, and this lets you browse around. And if you want to see the Paragon characters, you can type Paragon in here, and you can filter for characters somewhere. Oh, I can't remember how to do it. But there's a few different kinds of Paragon assets in here. Some of them are characters and some of them are environments. Most of them are characters. So for this demo, I need to pick one of these and load it into my scene. I don't think it really matters too much, hopefully. So I'm going to pick this one, and if I hadn't already loaded it, downloaded it, it would give me a different option. But because I've got this previously, I can view it in my library by one of these buttons. View in Launcher, View in Library. I want to view in Launcher. Open the launcher, and then it should be selecting. It didn't. I thought it was going to select my character. Maybe this one does. No, that takes me to the library here, which is not helpful at all. So coming back over here, this is my library. It's full of stuff. You may not have so much stuff, so it might not be hard to find. But in my case, I've got a bunch of stuff in here. But I can use this filter to find my Paragon character that I'm interested in. So if once you find yours, you can add to project with this button. Now what you'll notice immediately is it may not show you the project that you just made. Like, I don't see my demo project. It's called Demo 1. This is my project name, and I don't see it in this list. The reason is because this asset has not been tagged to be compatible with this version of Unreal Engine. That's okay, because I can get around that quite easily. It will still work. You click Show All Projects. You find your project, Demo 1, and then Asset Not Compatible, please select the closest alternative. So closest alternative is 5.4. Add to project. Now it will do some stuff, and you can probably see over here in a moment, it's going to create a folder called Paragon Shinbi, same as that. And now it's adding things to that folder in my project. So if I click over here, I've now got a bunch of folders with stuff in it. And if I go into the heroes, Shinbi, meshes, I can see I've got a skeletal mesh there. There are also variations that you can find under skins. Just drill down until you find meshes. There's one. Here's another one. Green one. And here is even another one, which I'm going to ignore because that doesn't look like a person. So I'll just pick this one here. I'll put it here in my scene, which will cause it to compile the shaders. So you can see it's initially gray, but down here in the corner you can probably see it's compiling shaders, and then it comes eventually visible. So that's the character, and if I double click this skeletal asset and I go to this animation tab, here are different animations that this character has, and if I scroll around I can see got quite a number of different motions. Some of them are making the physics freak out, but that's alright. It's just a preview. Those physics are being calculated live and dynamically. Okay, and that's how you get a Paragon character into your scene. Okay, coming back to Pete, I'm going to put Pete into my scene here, and I'm going to talk a little bit about how you fix his materials. So Pete's beard is looking kind of like not that great. His hair and his beard are looking unreasonably dense, and the reason is there's a problem with the materials, and specifically the material on his hair, his hair material. So if I double click the skeletal mesh asset, you could see that he's got the two materials assigned to different parts of him. The part that I want to fix is the part assigned to his beard, and that is this hair part. If I double click on it, it looks a little bit frightening, but this is the material editor, and the import process has tried to best interpret the materials that were assigned to this object. And the problem area is in this opacity mask. If we look through here, it's not using the alpha channel of this mask. So if I were to click on this opacity mask map, I can see that it's using this CH171002 diffuse map. That's the name of the map. Double clicking on it, I can see immediately that it's got transparency in the alpha channel, and I want that transparency to be used in my material, but it's currently not. It's doing all this weird stuff. Now if we look around a little bit more, we have a base color that's coming from here, this map, and if we select this, we can see it's using the same texture as that. This is the same. These two are the same. And the problem is this alpha channel needs to be going to that opacity mask. That's pretty much the whole problem. Once I plug it in, I can see that this is looking right. And if I hit apply and save, and I go back over to Pete, I can see that his hair and his beard are looking better, because the opacity is being used now. So that's how you fix the hair issue with the Mixamo character. Now let's talk about how you're gonna retarget animations from one character to another. It's super easy. Let's say on my Pete character, I want to get some of these Shinbi animations. So the first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to make a folder ready for this. I'm going to add folder Shinbi Emotions. And I'm going to come over here to my Shinbi Animations folder, and I'm going to pick a few of these. Let's filter for emote. So here's some emotes. This will be nice and straightforward. I'm going to right click on some animations, and I'm going to use retarget animations. And immediately it fills in this box for source skeletal mesh to be Shinbi. I'm going to change the target skeleton to be Pete. And I'm going to see if my motions are selected. They're not. So now I have to do it again here. Emote. Now I'm going to select those emotions, and I'm going to export animations. And I'm going to look for the folder that I just made. And I'll even prefix sh_pete. Or maybe I'll just do shpe and then underscore. So this is Shinbi to Pete. Export. Export. And now in Pete Shinbi motions, I now have those motions. Blowing it a kiss. A booyah. A happy clap that doesn't quite clap. And that awesome one. So some of them aren't looking quite right. What do we do in that case? Well, we can fix them. We can export our retarget assets. And I'm going to put them in the same place. And this has now created 3 retarget related assets. A rig for the Shinbi, a rig for the Mixamo guy. Maybe I'll load these up here so you can see them. A rig for the Mixamo guy, one for Shinbi, and a retarget asset here. Okay, so yeah, so this will make some assets that you can modify and test out here by playing some of these motions, seeing how they look. There's some offsets and things that you can apply so you can see them side by side. It's a little too much to go into at this time, but you can probably find some great videos online about how to use this editor to modify or improve your retargeting if it's not working for you. So the next thing, maybe you want to take, so we've just taken Shinbi's motion and put them onto Pete. Maybe you want to take Pete's motion, put it onto Shinbi. That's really just exactly the same. So we go over here to Pete's motions here, and you can pick any of these and right click retarget animations. It'll bring up this editor. You pick Shinbi here, and then whatever motions that you want retargeted, and you click export animations, and then you find a location for them to go. Now this time I did not create a shouldn't be a place for them to go, so I'm just gonna put them into here and put PESH underscore in front of them and export. And there we go. We've got a bunch of new animations for Shinbi. So we'll filter for PE, and we can see what they look like. I'll turn off again this bones view. But here you can see it worked pretty well with those Mixamo animations now on the Paragon character. I also seem to have translated the ones that were originally on Shinbi back onto Shinbi. That was an accident. I should have deselected those. Okay, that's the end of this video. If you want to see some more information about working with Paragon characters, for example, like hiding their weapons, or turning on physics if your physics are not working, I have another video that I can share with you for that on my YouTube channel. It's called Paragon Tips. Okay, that's it. Bye.